welcome to the Weeknight Chef. I'm Aaliyah. I help busy people who cook most nights of the week easily add global flavors to their food so they can have new exciting meals without spending hours hunting for new recipes. Today we're making a classic dish that's found across many cuisines, chicken and rice. I like to cook this Latin style arroz con pollo in one pan, so cleanup is super simple. I use my homemade sazon seasoning here, which I'll put a link for down below, but if you don't have it, you can use a sazon seasoning that you have in your cupboard. So let me show you how I do it. Okay guys, so this one pot chicken and rice is a pretty straightforward recipe. I'm going to start with my pot, obviously. You'll see that it has these high sides on it. That's because I need it to be able to hold all the rice and the chicken as well. And it also has a tight fitting lid, which is important for cooking rice. And this pan's been preheating over a medium to medium high heat. I'm going to go ahead and put in some olive oil. Now this might look like quite a bit of olive oil, but here's the secret to making this dish just out of control good. Is frying your rice before you cook it. I learned that trick when I took a cooking class in Mexico, and traditional Mexican rice that you get in Mexican restaurants is fried, usually dried. The dried rice is fried before it's cooked, and that gives it an unbelievable amount of flavor. I've tried this dish both ways, and ever since I tried it frying the rice, I've never gone back. So first we start with the oil. That might be a 1/4 cup or so of oil. And then I'm going to add my aromatics. I have my cut bell pepper and onion here. It's 1 small onion and 1 small bell pepper. That's a nice sizzle. It's what I like to hear. So I'm going to let these cook probably for about 5 to 7 minutes until they get soft. And I'm going to add salt at this point. Not all the salt we'll need in the dish, but definitely some salt to start building those layers of flavor and to help the vegetables break down. Okay, so my veggies, my onions and bell pepper have been cooking for about 5 minutes. They're really close to soft. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my rice. This is dried, uncooked rice. So what I've done is that I've rinsed basmati rice. This is a cup of rice, and drained it. I rinsed it until the water runs clear. I'm getting rid of some of that extra starch so that the final product isn't super clumped together. And frying it like this also is going to add another layer of flavor. So I'm going to let this go. I'm stirring very occasionally for about another 5 minutes. Okay guys, so it's been about 5 minutes here that the rice has been frying over I turned it up actually over a high heat, and the rice itself is turning a nice golden brown color, and the smell in here is amazing. It's this toasty, roasty smell, and it just smells so good. It's not sticking to the bottom of the pan at all. If it does start to stick to the bottom of the pan for you too much, I would add a little bit more oil or turn down your heat. So at this point we are going to add a few more ingredients. I have some chopped garlic here. And I'm going to add my spices. So my spices is going to be my Cuban seasoning, which is a sazon seasoning. And in it, it has garlic powder, onion powder, achiote seed, cumin, and black pepper, I think are the things. I'll put a link down below if you want to take a look at that. You can even purchase it from my website. If you don't have this particular Cuban seasoning, what I like about this one, I make it without salt and without any MSG. A lot of the sazon seasonings you find on the market in the grocery store will have MSG in them and a ton of salt. I like to use this one without any salt so I can control the amount of salt going into the dish. So the Cuban seasoning, quite a bit, adds a ton of flavor. Ooh, maybe a little more. So there we go, flavor. And then let's do tomato paste. A solid amount, probably 1/4-ish cup or so. Maybe that's too much. I'm going to stir that around. Oh, and I'm going to put in a little bit more salt too. There is going to be salt in the tomato paste, but I've only so far added about 1/2 teaspoon, so that should be plenty for this dish. I'm also not using a chicken broth. I am instead just using water. If you wanted to use a chicken broth, you could, but just be sure to back off on the amount of salt that you're adding otherwise, because chicken broth, especially store-bought, can be quite salty. Even the reduced sodium ones can be. So you want to stir it around and make sure that tomato paste kind of gets around all the bits of rice. You don't really want it clumping in any one spot. Oh yes, this smells so good. Okay, another few ingredients to add. We're going to add some water. Oh, you can see here, there we go. Let me mix it all around there. I'm going to add some water here. This is 1.5 cups of water to the 1 cup of rice. Makes kind of a firmer rice. And there's other sources of moisture or liquid in this, especially coming from the vegetables and from the chicken as well. So I use kind of a lower amount. Instead of 2 to 1 for my rice, I'm using 1.5 to 1 for the ratio of water to rice. Those are capers. This is what makes this, to me, more Spanish style dish or Cuban style. You put that capers in there. Green olives are another one that you could stick in there. And you don't have to put it in there if you don't like it, but you won't really notice that they're in there besides to say, oh my gosh, this is so good. So don't hold off on that, in my opinion. So I've got it up to high heat here, and I'm just going to wait for it to come to a boil. I will add the cooked chicken. Oh look, it's coming to a boil already. Here we go, guys. So it's to a boil. I'm going to go ahead and add this cooked chicken. This is leftover cooked chicken I have. You can use rotisserie chicken. You can buy chicken like this in the grocery store. I like thighs. You can use breasts if you want. Just make sure it's cut up into nice cubes and then it's already cooked. And so this dish is a really great way to use leftover chicken for that reason. What great way to repurpose it. So I just stir it to make sure it kind of gets all the way around in the dish. It's going to come to a boil one more time. And then I'm going to cover it and cook it for about 20 minutes on a low heat. Okay guys, this 1 pot chicken and rice has been cooking for 20 minutes and there's just a couple more steps to get it done. Now I'm going to turn off the heat but still leave it on that burner, and I'm going to take these frozen peas and go ahead and throw them in there. Now the frozen peas, what's going to happen here is that they are going to get less frozen from the steam of this, and their frozenness is also going to kind of cool it down a little bit. So it kind of serves double duty. And then what I do next is I take a clean dish towel and I put it on top. The heat is off at this point. That's really important. And I put it back on and I let it sit for 20 minutes. Now this is a technique I have learned from every person who is over the age of 60 who's been cooking rice for a really long time. This seems to be something that they always do. I've heard varying reasons why this really works, but really what I think it does is that it helps absorb extra steam in there, and it makes the rice less clumpy, and the individual grains aren't stuck together as much. So I do this for another 10 minutes or so. You can definitely skip this step, but I think if you have the time, do it. See if it makes your rice better. I personally think it does. So another 10 minutes and then we're ready to eat. All right guys, so it's been about 10 minutes here that I've had the dish towel covering the rice. Heat was not been on. You can see how those peas have turned a bright green color, which means they are cooked through. No longer frozen. And then I'm just going to go ahead and fluff up my rice. At this point, if you had some fresh cilantro, you could add it here. I thought I had some in the fridge, but I looked and I don't. So no fresh cilantro today, but that would be absolutely delicious here. And then I'm going to go ahead, dish it up. This is going to be really good. Hot, but absolutely delicious. You see that, guys? 1 hot chicken and rice. Really easy to make on a weeknight, or make it advance and reheat too. Works just as well. Time to try it. It's my favorite part. Is it your favorite part? You can see there's a big piece of chicken, some rice wrapped around it. So much flavor. Oh my God. Always turns out so amazing, you guys. I hope you make this one. Let me know down below what you think of the recipe, and I will see you next time.